Hi there, I'm Erin Henshaw, and this is Breathing into Culture Week Zero. The reason that we have this little mini course before the 6 week series is because breathwork can be a bit intense and there's also a lot to learn. So, before we dive right in, I want to give you some of the basics about breathing and also to see how you respond to this type of program. Then, if you feel like it's for you, please come and join us for the 6 week series. Let's begin with our container. So, as I mentioned, my name is Erin, and I'm a trauma sensitive mindful breathwork teacher. I'll be sharing different stories, scientific explanations, and information about breathing practices. And for this week zero, we'll do some of the very basics in breathing to get you ready for exploring India, Tibet, Russia, the US, and the Netherlands. There's not a sharing component to this program, but there is one in the actual course. And as I mentioned, this program is not intended for beginners, so it's great if you have some experience with breath work. Also, if you experience any strong emotions or overwhelming emotions known as triggers, please reach out to trusted professionals, and I'm also available via email for additional support. So let's take a little brain science review to talk about what happens when we engage in breath work. So, the way that our brain works is that neurotransmitters go from the brain to the rest of the body to give our organs and our different systems signals for how to behave. And actually, it's not only our brain that sends the signals out, but our brain also receives a lot of information from our belly and from our heart. In fact, if we know how to listen, we might find that we receive even more information going from the belly and the heart up than the brain down. But that's for another day. So we have a spectrum of responses that our nervous system can behave in based on what signals it's receiving from our body and also from our breath. And so, on the fear and anxiety side, we have fight or flight reactions. What does that look like with our breath? This means when we have chest breathing, breathing up in our chest, we might have short and quick breaths. And these are sending alarm signals to the body and activating our sympathetic nervous system. On the other hand, we can send signals that are related to the rest and digest reaction of our nervous system. This means that we have belly breath, long and steady breaths, more control over our breathing, and then this sends signals of comfort to the body and activates our parasympathetic nervous system response. I want to talk a little bit about the diaphragm. The diaphragm is the muscle that mostly helps us breathe. It's a dome-shaped muscle and it's located just below the lungs in the heart. So you can often put your hand just below where your ribs meet, and that's the starting point for the diaphragm. It contracts when we breathe in and out. So the diaphragm is working on our inhales and our exhales. And like a balloon, it fills air into our belly when we breathe in, and it gets small and empty as we breathe out if we're breathing correctly. So take a moment to notice when you bring air into your lungs, is your belly expanding? And as you push air out, is your belly contracting? Take a moment to get a little bit more familiar with the diaphragm. You can place your hand on your belly and your chest and just notice how the belly inflates and deflates as you inhale and exhale. And I'll play the singing bowl as you're getting familiar. Also, if we're talking about the nerves and our nervous system messages, the phrenic nerve runs from the neck to the diaphragm and it controls its movement. So you might notice that if you're feeling tight in the belly, this might affect your breathing. Also, if you're feeling tight in the neck and the throat, this might affect your breathing. All right, so let's get into some practices and notice some different aspects of breath. So if you'd like, you can start lying down, especially if you're a beginner. And if you have a little more experience with breath work, then you can remain seated. And we're going to just let the body begin to relax on the ground beneath you and begin to notice your chest rising and chest falling. And notice where you might be in this moment. Are you breathing from your chest? Or are you breathing from your belly? One way that we can notice this, especially if we're lying down, is that if we inhale, the belly rises and falls. We could even put something like a pin or a sock on the belly and watch it rise and fall. If you're noticing that your breath is up in the chest, that's okay. As you begin to relax, see if you can get more movement in the diaphragm and the belly, and relax the breathing in the chest. Great job. Staying where you are, noticing breath, begin to imagine lengthening your exhales. So first, imagine exhaling for twice as long as you inhale. And we can start with a count. So we're going to inhale 1, 2, exhale 2, 3, 4. Inhale 2, exhale 2, 3, 4. Inhaling, exhaling. Inhaling, exhaling. And stay for a few more breaths at your own count, noticing, lengthening the exhales. Don't hold your breath, but simply set the intention to let the exhales be slow and steady, at least twice as long as your inhales. Great job. Now we're going to continue on with box breathing. If you'd like, you can sit up, or if you're feeling comfortable, stay down on the ground. In box breathing, we create a space in between our inhales and our exhales. So we hold for a few moments in between. It'll go something like this. Inhaling, hold, exhaling, hold. Inhale, hold, exhale, hold, and continue at your own pace. Taking your final round of box breaths and coming back to your natural breathing in this moment. Another helpful aspect of breath work are breathing anchors. So that means when your mind begins to wander, coming back to an anchor that keeps you focused on the task at hand. So one anchor that I like is to put a hand on the belly and a hand on the chest for our anchor points. We can also keep one hand on the chest and one hand on the forehead if that feels good to you. So choose a physical anchor in the chest. Let the eyes come to close or gaze down at one point on the ground beneath you. And sit with the breath for a moment, noticing what's the pace of my breath? How does it feel in my chest? And can I notice sensation in any other part of my body? Sitting for a few moments, and if the mind begins to wander away from the chest, bring your awareness back, saying something like belly rising, belly falling, or my hands are on my chest. I'll close my eyes and do it a little bit with you. Great job. You can keep your hands on your anchor points or release them. And we'll continue scanning the body, noticing any sensations, starting with the feet. Bringing awareness down to the feet, noticing the temperature and any feelings in the toes, the arches. Bringing awareness to the ankles, noticing the shins and the calves. Bringing awareness to the knees. Noticing any feelings in the hamstrings, the quads, and the upper leg. Inhaling, I am. Exhaling, noticing. Bringing awareness to the pelvis, the right side of the pelvis and the glute, the left side of the pelvis and the glute, and the space just beneath the belly button. Feeling for sensations in the chest, noticing the low back, and any connection between the body and the ground beneath you. Noticing the heart beating in the chest, bringing awareness to the right shoulder, the left shoulder, and the throat. Feeling the arms, the sensation of the arms down into the fingertips. Inhaling, I am. Exhaling, letting go. Noticing the muscles in the face, the cheeks, and the jaw, the throat, and the neck. Noticing the back of the neck, gently tucking the chin to elongate the spine, and bringing awareness up to the top of the head. Sitting for a few moments, noticing what's coming up in your body today. And as you're ready, bringing awareness, moving the fingers and the toes, deepening the breath in the belly, and opening your eyes, joining us back. So that was our introduction to breath work. I encourage you to practice any of those techniques a bit more and longer. You could stay for 5 minutes or 500 practicing those breathing techniques, and your relationship to them and to yourself will change over time and with practice. If you join the course, you can look forward to yogic breathing from India, tones and cleansing breaths from America that are particularly trauma-inspired, breath locks from India, hyperventilation and cold exposure from the Netherlands, breath retention, free diving, and visualizations from Russia, and Tibetan 9 breaths of clarification. All you need for the course is an internet connection, access to Zoom, a comfy place to lie down, and a comfy place to sit, because we'll be doing both. A timer is optional for week 5, and of course, a growth mindset, which means that there's an ever-expanding amount of information in the world. We can't possibly know all of it. So it's a lifelong process of growing, expanding, and accepting new information. Please feel free to email me anytime, Erin@themindbodyproject.com, and I hope to see you on the course.